Hello friends, today I'm going to share part 2 of my car build, how I lived in the car. I shared about how I made the bed, and next thing I'm going to share is how I did a few other things in the car, and I'll show you my living situation, and that's pretty much it. I will talk about the things I had and the things I used, things that were necessities living in a car. So hope you'll enjoy this video. So as you know, I had a very small car and I had to utilize every single spot of space in there. I had designed a comfortable bed. Then I had to figure out a way to set my stove in the car when the weather was bad to cook, and my little Mr. Buddy heater. So I built a wooden platform on the seating area next to the bed behind the driver's seat. And I built a level platform, would lift up on a hinge. I can store things under that. I was able to set my heater and my stove on there if I had to cook inside. Also, I had to use plastic between the back seat and the trunk just to keep the cold air out. So I was eventually going to put a wooden board there to fit and keep the cold air out. I never got around to that. Eventually I got the cargo trailer, but anyhow, that worked out okay. It was ugly. It was an eyesore, but it worked. I left the seat back for the seat part behind the driver's seat, so I still had a backrest. I was able to put a nice square cushion on the wooden platform that I used to cook and use the heater on. So I was able to sit there comfortably and read and do whatever I wanted to do on that seat, and then move the cushion when I needed the solid platform for the stove and the heater. So that also works really well. Very comfortable. The cushion actually was just another pillow if I wanted to raise up more in my bed. I had to be able to sit it somewhere where it was stable, and I had to be able to vent it. So some of the clips I show are how I insulated the windows with reflectix and showed how I left an opening without leaving the whole window open so the cold would not get in for the heat. I had a little one-burner stove which worked off of propane or butane, and that worked really well. I'll share my kitchen setup in the gazebo. When you're living in a car, you have to spend 90% of your time outside. So a gazebo is a good idea, but I had a little cheap $40 gazebo that I bought for years and years before. I used it for camping. And the gazebo didn't hold up in the wind. Now I have not a name brand clam, but I have a Gazelle gazebo, which is pretty good size. I can actually put it down. The high winds don't destroy it. So Gazelle is the one I got. I did get it off of Amazon, and it's a really nice tin. It's 5-sided and it secures very well to the ground. Most of those gazebos don't have a floor. That's just as well because you can't keep the floor clean in the desert. So I'm going to share a little bit of these clips and show you. You'll see my table had a little sink area. I had some small pots and pans, good storage for food supply and things in zipper bags, and I share my little ice chest because I didn't have room for a big one. I probably will show you a clip of how I built a shelf in the trunk, so if I had to, I could cook on the shelf in the trunk outside. I stored everything under the shelf and on top of the shelf in the trunk. It had a lot of room. I loved my portable kitchen. Unfortunately, eventually, I couldn't keep it. I didn't have enough room once I got so many things in the trunk. But it was wonderful. Everything I bought from Amazon pretty much, or Walmart. And the kitchen setup, all-in-one kitchen, really had a really nice surface for the stove. I used a windscreen around the stove on top of that. It folded up really nice, like 5 inches high from the bottom up, and about probably all folded up less than 2.5 feet with under the shelf, but it's just eventually didn't work out for me. It worked for quite a while, really, till I got the cargo trailer. I loved it because it had a zipper food compartment under the countertop, and I had an extension with a little dish rack and some shelving, metal shelving under the bottom of the food compartment and under the dish sink. So that was really nice. I could put hooks on the sides, and I was able to put a lot of things on the hooks, everything that I need in for cooking and what have you. Also, I used a shoe bag on the back of the driver's seat to keep all my personal needs, like shampoo, personal toothbrush, toothpaste. I put toilet paper, lotion, bags, and zipper bags, and everything I can need. I had a separate bag for all my medications and first aid kit, which was under the bed and under the seats. So I utilized all that space. I had a little bag, one of those zipper bags, full of my yarn and stuff for crafting, for making things. I quit doing that. I just don't have the room for all the yarn now, but at the time I wanted to pack everything I could in there. I even had my guitar in there. Imagine that. I had to move it to sleep, move it over to the driver's seat. But unfortunately, musical instruments don't hold up too well in the heat and the bad weather. It dries out of the wood and the strings. Anyhow, I still have the guitar, but it's not doing well in the high temperatures. Anyhow, I thought I'd share those little bits and pieces. I used Lucy lights for lighting. I had a little small inverter that I plugged into the car to charge all of my appliances, like my phone and my tablet and whatever I needed to plug in for that. And so I stored the propane in the trunk, little 1-pound cylinders. I didn't have room for a big container. It was expensive buying 1-pound containers, but still worth it compared to utilities somewhere. You know, I didn't have an electric bill. I didn't have a rent. I lived on BLM, Bureau of Land Management land, dispersed camping. I never paid for camping except when I had all the medical problems. I had to stay in one place in Arizona. I had to pay by the year for there, and I stayed there for a year. So anyhow, hope these little tidbits of information is going to help you. At the end of this video, I'll share some of the gadgets I used. Here we go.